It's official. The Houston Texans have filled a key position of need for the upcoming 2025 NFL season. This is huge news because it fills a big need on the offensive line. Laremy Tunsil was shipped off to Washington. You need another guy in there. And this is a perfect plug and play, a good veteran, somebody who's new and improved. I do feel a little bit indifferent about it, and I want to get everyone else's opinion. But if you're new to the channel, hit that sub button. Really appreciate all the support, and we're dropping Texans news all day, so don't miss an upload. But gotta jump right into the video. The Texans have signed tackle Cam Robinson, and I really don't know how to feel about this. Robinson's fine, but there's some things that he does that is similar to just how he plays and the amount of money that he thinks he deserves, and $14 million a season. I know it's only a one-year contract, so it doesn't really matter. But for me, I'm just like, you don't deserve that much a year. Your penalties are through the roof. Your sacks given up are through the roof. So there's just a lot of questions as to who's going to play what position now. Because you have Blake Fisher. You have Cam Robinson. You have Titus Howard. You have Juice Scruggs. You have Jarrett Patterson. You have Laken Tomlinson. And you just traded for a guard and Ed Ingram. So they have replenished on the offensive line. It's just a matter of where do these guys play. And do you dare draft another guy? Why not? Just to round out the rotation. Here's the thing. Cam Robinson played a little bit of guard last season as well for the Vikings. So you could see him maybe shift inside on that right guard position to kind of start there, unless you're going to put Juice Scruggs there. So there's a lot of questions as to what the offensive line is going to look like. I asked you Texans fans, what do you think of the move? Cam Robinson to Houston. Again, we'll break it down in just a second, but comment your thoughts right now as we're breaking it down. Robinson has been a solid tackle. 70 PFF grade in terms of the pass blocking ability. He's had that for the past 4 seasons. Not shabby. Not bad at all. You look back to where he signed a massive deal with the Jaguars, getting around $20 million a season. He was franchise tagged for a little while, and then that contract never worked out. So for the player that he was supposed to be, he never really lived it up. And you're getting a player now who, and I have to address everything on X right now, because everyone's looking at, you lose Tunsil, you lose Green, and now you reload with Ingram, Robinson, and Laken Tomlinson. Okay, yes, the offensive line was a disaster last season, but you're basically revamping it because Tunsil was the problem in the room. Green was the worst tackle, the worst guard on the team by far. So what was the point of not moving on from those guys? When you look at what Cam Robinson has done, it's nothing spectacular. He allowed 7 sacks last year. It was, these numbers are going to look a little weird, but he played just under 1,000 snaps. He had 13 penalties, 7 sacks allowed. Not the best. And if you're going to have that guy play the blindside tackle, you might as well put Laremy Tunsil back out there, because when you have a guy who just had 13 penalties, it's basically the same guy. All he does is hold. So I'd rather him be in a guard spot where he has some more potential, because you look at a couple of what I've seen from at least looking at one-on-one pressures, he's not good on the edge. My thought process here is you put him at right tackle, because I don't want somebody on the blind side whose one-on-one pressure rate was terrible. It was up 17% after week 9 when he was traded to the Vikings. Now, that could be because it was a new system. You got traded. It was a different offense. And maybe because you signed him, you get him a little bit involved in the offseason. I mean, I don't think the Texans' offensive line is as bad as people make it out to be, right? It's been a thing that Robinson has never really been great with his hands. That's kind of the biggest thing with him, is that he uses his hands. He's not the best with it, and he's kind of an anchor problem. So, again, I'd rather move him inside to guard. I love this graphic here because it kind of just tells you what the Texans' offensive line is. But how is the side on the left worse than the side on the right? Besides Tunsil, everything else is terrible. Kenyon Green was awful. Shaq Mason let up double-digit sacks. I mean, I don't know how you're going to say that the interior offensive line has decreased and downgraded. Right now, Titus Howard might play guard. He might play tackle. I really don't know. Robinson can play right guard. You have Laken Tomlinson, who needs to be put in that kind of involvement. I don't know who did this graphic, but Laken Tomlinson was signed for a reason. He's going to play. He's a good veteran piece. He's going to be better than Juice Scruggs. Scruggs is a younger guy. I think the Texans did this mainly because Blake Fisher was so bad last year that you need to fill the right tackle position. With the amount of injuries you had on the interior offensive line, Shaq Mason went down. It really didn't matter because he wasn't very good to begin with. But then you had Howard move from right tackle to guard. Fisher was out on an island. He didn't do anything good last year. So it just kind of snowballs, right? From last year with the injuries, you had Shaq Mason let up double-digit sack. I mean, the offensive line was so bad last year, I really don't think it can get any worse, to be completely honest. So, just breaking everything down, I think this is how it's going to look. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I really don't mind Titus Howard going back to his natural position that he was supposed to be drafted for, which was left tackle. So you put him on the left side, then you put Laken Tomlinson as your left guard, you put Jarrett Patterson as your center, Juice Scruggs as your right guard, and Cam Robinson as your right tackle. And Blake Fisher can take over for him over time. And you can still draft a Donovan Jackson or another guard or tackle to replace Juice Scruggs or Jarrett Patterson. I think Scruggs can move the center. Patterson, I don't mind that. Those guys are fine. Patterson, Scruggs, Fisher are all young, so they can fit in there. Kenyon Green, he was young as well, but he was a very bad young. Now, maybe he goes to the Eagles and he does well, but honestly, Tunsil was a main problem because of the penalties. He lost us games last year. We already talked about the Tunsil trade, so I don't want to go too deep into that. But this Cam Robinson signing, I feel like he might be better off as guard. But I do like it because Blake Fisher cannot do it all by himself. He cannot start the season. Robinson was a veteran play where I don't mind it. They were looking at Tyron Smith as well. I heard rumors about that, so maybe they still go after Tyron Smith. I mean, he's old as well, too. But Robinson, he's better than Fisher, right? He's making $14 a year. You're not going to sign him long term. He's a plug and play right now that can fill a need. Then you could still draft somebody on the interior and put him in for Scruggs. I really do think the Texans still draft somebody, but when you just look at how everything is shaping into play, I don't want to go on X or Twitter and see, oh, what are the Texans doing? Imagine going from Laramie Tunsil to Cam Robinson. Like, did you not see the Texans play last year? Their offensive line was so out of sync. Everybody played individual. There was no communication. For Tunsil to have a C on his chest, not make any communication. Shaq Mason, because he's a veteran, because he got paid, he just gave up. I mean, to be fair, he was battling an injury, but to give up double-digit sacks, that contract should have never been taken on. The trade pick swap from the Patriots, that's exactly what they wanted, was to get rid of his contract. So, Titus Howard should play right tackle or left tackle. But Cam Robinson, apparently, he could end up playing left tackle, and that's what he did for the Jaguars. He was solid at it, but I don't understand what you do from there. The one thing about Cam Robinson that I feel like Texans fans, at least for me, being a Texans fan, you know of other fans, right? So I've talked to some Jaguar fans, and they don't like Cam Robinson very much. Cam Robinson was, his middle name was Holding. So when you have a tackle that hey, we like the potential signing, 1 year, $14 million. We got rid of Tunsil. We could put him out right tackle. And I do agree. He's better than Blake Fisher right now. But the Texans fans are going to be so irritated when he starts to hold. I would love to put him at right guard, go draft somebody, and put him at right tackle. Whoever's available at 25. Donovan Jackson you could trade back for. You get Jackson and the other right tackle, so who both play with C.J. Stroud. But overall, I don't hate it. It's not a bad idea. He has a good PFF grade. The problem is, and I didn't show it on here, but he had 13 penalties last year. And Tunsil had 19, 10 of which were false starts. But it's like Robinson was bad last year in the holding department. Run blocking, he was fine. 64 overall, sure. I don't hate it. I really don't. A 1-year prove-it deal, $14 million. He's not going to be re-signed next year. I feel like he's just hey, safety blanket. Let's play him over there. Should be solid for a few weeks, and then you can plug in whoever you draft or bring up Blake Fisher. That is fine. Blake Fisher can be the future for the Texans. He played all of last season. You could sit behind Robinson, who is a unit, who can be on the outside. Just try and coach him up so he doesn't grab every single edge rusher. If he is the blind side for CJ Stroud, I am severely worried for what this team is going to look like. If you sign Cam Robinson to be your blind side left tackle, you are in for a rude awakening. Put that guy to right tackle, put him to left guard, put him inside, do something with him, because he let up 7 sacks last year. It wasn't terrible, but when you hold 10, 15 times a season, that is what's going to drive me crazy, because the Texans were already bad in the second and third down percentage last year, holding offense. I don't want to hear that again. We just got rid of Tunsil. I don't want to bring in another yellow flag on our team who's just going to hold. So, all right, there's a lot of penalties for Cam Robinson. There's a lot of pluses. There's a lot of minuses. I need to hear everyone's thoughts in the comments. I don't hate it. It really isn't a bad signing, but that's my thoughts. That's my piece. Kind of went a little bit of circles, but as for the offensive line, we'll take another peek at it, but this is the offensive line. You got Cam Robinson, most likely at right tackle. Titus Howard will most likely be at left tackle. Unless he's a better guard than he's a tackle. We'll see how that works out. Left guard, most likely Laken Tomlinson. Jarrett Patterson, center. Right guard, Scruggs, Robinson, or somebody in the draft like Jackson. But I don't want to leave the right side open with Blake Fisher. Maybe I'm crazy, but Robinson to the Texans, not a terrible idea, but now you're kind of out of salary cap. You got to figure things out. Caserio, I don't hate it, but you need to fix the offensive line still. Robinson's not going to do enough. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please, and thank you. And we'll catch you in the next video.